Hey guys, I hope that I'm live right now. If you guys are able to listen properly, as well as there's no issues with the audio or the video, please let me know. Hello guys, I hope that I'm live right now, guys. If you guys are able to listen me properly, as as well as there's no issues with the audio or the video, please let me know. I'm so sorry, guys. For the past 3 days, I was not able to take up a class. I my health was actually very down. I had fever. Even right now as well, I'm having a lot of fever. So um, I'm having some difficulty to speak as well. But nevertheless, from today, I'm a bit better. So I can sit. I can be with you guys. So we'll start with our class. We'll continue with our class from today itself. I think so. The last class, we had started with the Hello World and ReactJS. Am I right, guys? We had started with the with the Hello World and ReactJS. Let me just get some water. Give me a second. Yeah, so we had just started with ReactJS, right? Ashwat, if you have missed just one attendance, you'll still get the certificates. Missing more than one attendance mm, will cause you some problems. ठीक है? Okay. So, like I said, guys, I'll speak a bit slowly if it's fine with you guys, because the more that I'm speaking, the more it is like it is causing me to cough. But nevertheless, we'll start with today's class. So let me just share my screen. You might find me a little bit less enthusiastic today because I don't have that much power in me today. But nevertheless, I'll try my level best that you guys are able to understand the concepts clearly. That would be my aim. Okay. Okay, and let's go to. I think so. We were using which platform were we using, guys? Code Sandbox or Repellent? I forgot about it. Could you guys let me know which platform were we using? Code Sandbox. Okay. Will the classes be regularly? The classes are usually regularly itself, but I had got fever. I was in complete bed rest. Today is the day that I was able to sit properly at one spot. That is the reason why I decided to have the class today. Even right now, I'm not feeling well. If you guys are able to see that, uh, even talking a little bit faster is causing a little bit of cough, and I'm still weak. I'm still getting so when the fever resides, right, you get a lot of sweat as well. So that is still going on, and a lot of body pain. I'm on a lot of medications, so you might find me a little bit less enthusiastic. Um, I am so sorry uh, for the same. Okay. Mystery is it. I am able to understand that you guys might have found it to be a waste of your time. I usually try to make sure that I'm on time and I'm taking up the classes properly as well. But I was in no condition to sit as well. I have not been going to office for the past 4 days. I am also today as well. I didn't go to the office. I'm not able to work properly. But nevertheless, I'll try my level best that this doesn't happen again. I don't know why did I get the fever. I was not drinking something. I was not. I even did not even switch on the AC. But yeah, wellness is something that I need to care about a little bit more. Now again, I'm very sorry for everybody who found it a bit more irritating or like I usually don't do this. I make sure that I'm even today as well. I'm not feeling well, but I try to make sure that. I'm taking up the classes right now because I have already missed a lot, and I don't want you guys to suffer due to that. Okay, so let's start again. I'm really sorry for the same. We'll just open up the same sandbox as what we were using in the previous class itself. I think so. This was it. No, I don't think so. This was not it. Um, okay, so this was it. Let me check. I think so. This was the one that we were using in our yesterday's class. Not even this one. Okay, this was also not the one. Let me go down below. Okay, so Sleepy Journeymo, maybe this was the one. Yeah, I think so. This was the one which we were using in our last class, right? Yes. So let me open up the web portal as well. Okay. Okay, guys. So the next thing that we have to learn about is a topic called as components. Okay. Components are a very important topic. Uh, Components is a very important topic for you guys to understand because this is where the concept of this React DOM will then come into picture. This virtual DOM, real DOM, very important interview questions will come into picture, guys. So components are like functions. We have learned about functions in React.js, right? Do you guys remember functions in React.js? Sorry, in JavaScript. We have learned about functions in JavaScript. Am I right, guys? Mystery Z, I always thought that I will be able to take up the classes, but at the last moment, I felt as if I was not able to speak. That is the reason why the post won't happen. Okay. But nevertheless, like I said, I'm sorry, and I'll make sure that from today the classes are regular. Okay, so we have learned about functions. So what is a function? It basically contains some code inside of it. Now you don't have to write that code again and again and again. So what you can do, you can just call the function. You can just be like, okay, greeting function, come and work for me. So whatever code is stored inside of that function, that is what will be run right over there. You don't have to write that code again and again. This introduces the concept of reusability, just like plastic water bottles, right? You don't have to use them and throw them again. You can reuse it again and again and again at all times. In the exact same way, functions, instead of writing the same lines of code again and again, you can directly reuse it. The same concept of functions inside of React.js for your items on your website. Okay, think about it as items, right? There are buttons, there are images, there are, for example, a nav bar right over there. There is a scroll option right over there. So let's take up our website, right? Let's take up DevTown's website if that's the case. Okay. So this is the new website of DevTown. There are multiple components right over here. For example, here in this particular box, there is an input field. There is a button right over there. So let's call this as logic, okay, or let's call this as notification or something like that. Now, all these different things, okay, your particular text that is there inside of this white box, the input fields that is there inside of these white box, the button that is there inside of this white box, all these different things can be brought together and thought about as one particular component, as one particular component. So if I want to use this again and again and again, okay, if I want to use this particular like box, white box, different places on my website, I don't have to write the same code again and again and again. I can compile all that code. Anything that you create on your website requires HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Even this white box will have its own HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We'll compile all these together. These HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code that makes this white box, will compile it together inside of one module, and that module will call as a component. So just like functions that store JavaScript code inside of it, A component stores the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code for a particular object on your website. It can be anything. For example, if I want this our offerings, okay, if I want this our offerings to be created as a component, I can do that. Whatever is the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code of this particular text, I can compile it together, give it a name, and that will be a component right over there. Now, this concept of component, why is it important? Have you guys heard about Airbnb? Have you guys heard about Airbnb, guys? Airbnb. Airbnb is like your Oyo, okay, but a very like you can have your own uh like houses. You can rent your own houses to people like a hotel itself. So for example, if I am having two rooms in my home and I don't want, I am not able to pay rent, or I want to rent another room out, I'm not using it, so I can rent it out like a hotel. I can maintain it and I can rent it out itself. So in the exact same manner itself, Airbnb is also like that kind of place. For example, oh, this is nice. What is it? Should I check it? Okay, I'll check it later on. So right over here, let's take up like Lux. Okay, we'll go with Lux. As you're able to see right over here, all these properties that you are able to see, all these things that you are able to see on your screen, is there something common in between them? Is there something common in between them? Think about it. If you think about it, the structure of all these cards, if I call them as cards, all these cards, the structure is the same. You are having a like button on the top of the picture. You're having multiple pictures inside of it, right? You're having where is it located, which country is it located, uh, how many kilometers away from you are these particular places located, what dates are available, and what is the cost per night. Okay, what is the cost per night? So all these structure wise it is the same, just the data within it is getting changed continuously, right? Only the data within it is getting changed continuously. Will you guys agree with me or not on this? Will you guys agree with me or not on this, guys? Please let me know. Yes. So early on, what used to happen is if I want to have these four cards on my screen, I will have to write the same HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code. Not HTML, CSS, but okay, for those who don't know about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, I'm just giving this example, but who knows about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, they will know that what I'm saying is 70% wrong. Okay, the HTML code only needs to be repeated 4 times. Okay, this is the actual truth, but just for pure, plain, easy explanation, I'm talking about this. Okay, कि the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code for all these four cards, I will have to write it 4 times, but I'm able to showcase these cards on my screen. I'll have to write the HTML for every card. There will be a proper HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code that creates this card. I'll have to write it 4 times to create 4 cards. If I want to write six, I have to create 16 cards. I'll have to write it 16 times. If I want to create it 250 cards, I'll have to write it 250 times itself. And then it is not going to refresh automatically every time that I reload the page. I'll get new cards on my screen. Okay, I will get new cards on my screen itself. It will only show 250 at a time. I cannot load any more. Every time I need to see more, I'll have to refresh the page, and these 250 cards itself will then be showing different properties right over there. Now, this isn't something that we want, right? So, React.js introduced the new concept of components right over here. You store the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code for all these cards. Okay, the structure of the card into one component. Let's call it as a card itself, and we'll use it right over there. We'll call the card, and the card will refer back to the same thing. So it is just like calling a function. You want to use the function 20 times, just call the function 20 times. You don't have to write the code 20 times. Are you guys able to understand this? Please let me know. Are you guys able to understand this, guys? Please let me know. So now the concept comes how to create a particular component. Okay. Creating a component is actually pretty easy, but before moving further to create a component, What if right now I'm sending this h1 tag, right? If you guys remember the heading 1 tag, which makes the stuff big and bold on our screen, right? There is another tag right over there that makes stuff look like a paragraph. So that is called as the p tag or the paragraph tag. Any text that you put inside of that p tag will make it appear like a paragraph on your screen itself, guys. So let's see right over here. If we come back, okay, I want to send both an h1 tag as well as a paragraph tag on our screen. So I'll add a paragraph tag, opening paragraph tag, closing paragraph tag. I'll put some particular text inside of it. This is a paragraph. Okay. So right now what I want to do is I want to send two tags to my website, an h1 tag and a paragraph tag as well. Whatever stuff is there in the paragraph tag will make it look like a paragraph. If I try to do this, if I go back to my website and refresh the page, it will give me an error. It is going to give me an error. The reason for that is that when your particular React DOM.render attribute takes in some particular properties itself, it takes in two properties. What do you want to render and where do you want to render? So where we know document.getElement by ID root, that is where we want to render. But in what do we want to render? We can only render one item at a time. We can only render one element at or one particular tag at a time itself. But our aim is to render as many tags as possible, right? We want to render two tags right over here. So how can we do that? Do you guys know any way in which you can take these two tags and convert it into one tag itself? We have actually learned about that tag in this particular bootcamp itself. What do you guys think? How can I take these two tags together and convert them into just one tag? Do you guys know the answer for this? Do you guys know the answer for this? Div tag, very good. So, like we have previously discussed in the previous class, div tags are a container tag. Okay, the div tag does not make any changes. Like the h1 tag makes things look big and bold. The paragraph tag makes things look like a paragraph. The div tag does not do anything. It is just a container tag. It's like a tiffin box. So if I'm having this h1 tag that is like a roti and paragraph tag that is like a sabji, I want to put them together. I'll just take a lunchbox, I'll put them together. Now I can only carry a lunchbox in my hand. In the exact same manner, if I put these two inside of a div tag right over here, the opening div tag, and we'll have a closing div tag right over here. Okay. So now our h1 and the paragraph tag are present inside of the div tag. So we are actually rendering a div tag on our screen itself. We're not rendering an h1 in the paragraph tag. For the render attribute, it is only seeing the div tag right over there, which contains the h1 and the paragraph tag inside of it. So now if I save this, if I go back to my website and try to refresh the page itself, as you're able to see, we are having the hello world as well as this is a paragraph on our screen, and it is not going to change anything, guys. It is not changing anything. The div tag does not do any kind of changes. Okay. The next thing that we have to learn about is how to convert this two tags into a component. Creating a component is actually pretty easy, guys. You will love this. Okay. So I want to create a component called as the heading component, okay, or the header component, whatever you want to call it as. I'll call it as the heading component itself. So, or should I call it as the header? Okay, we'll call it as the header component. Okay. So we'll first create a function. Okay. How to create a function called as header? Can somebody let me know in the live chat inside of JavaScript? How to create a function called as header in JavaScript, guys? Can somebody let me know? Guys, is somebody there? I think so. I have taught you guys about it, right? How to create a function. Very good. Okay. We'll first declare functr function that we are creating a function. We'll call it as header, header header. We'll put parentheses right over here and then curly braces. Now this header function is not going to do anything. It is just going to send back. It is just going to return a div tag containing this h1 and the paragraph tag. That's it. This header function is going to return a div tag containing the h1 and the paragraph tag inside of it. Control C, Control V, Control S. That's it. So we are having a function called as header, which is which is going to return back, okay, the div tag containing their h1 and the paragraph tag right over there. Are you guys able to see this? Please let me know. Avinash, you can also stop wasting your time and go. Okay, if you don't really care that I was actually ill, I'm still ill, I'm not in a condition to sit properly as well, I'm still here, then you can really leave. You don't have to keep on wasting your time. There is a lot of precious things that you can do, and YouTube is a great place to learn. Okay, nobody is forcing you to sit here, neither I am. Okay, if you are able to understand that I was not even actually able to get up from my bed for the past 3 4 days, okay, it's fine. I can understand as a human being you're dead, but no issues in that. I can also understand because sometimes I'm also like that. I don't understand what people are feeling. But nevertheless, if you are here, you can study. If you're not, you can leave the class as well. There's no issues in that. Okay. So here this particular function header is going to return a div tag containing the h1 and the paragraph tag inside of it. Now I can just go down below, replace this with the header component. This is how you create the header component. Okay, you create a function called as header, okay, which returns back the particular stuff that you want to see inside of your component, and then to use that component to render that component, you just come into the div tag inside of the render and you just put up the header component right over here. If I save this, if I go back to my website and refresh the page, as you guys are able to see, it is loading the exact same way. There's no issues, no problems whatsoever right over here. Okay, are you guys able to understand this? Please let me know. Karthik, you don't have to worry. Like I've already said, if you have missed 1 or 2 days of attendance, you'll still get the certificates. Okay, please focus upon the study pass. Okay, great. Now, uh, this particular function that we have created right over here, it's actually not a very good representation of a function. Okay, this is the old format of creating a function, guys. Okay, this is good, this is amazing, there is no issues in that, but functions have now been replaced by something new that is called as your particular arrow functions. Okay, functions, this is the old format of writing function. This is what you will be seeing a lot of times while seeing JavaScript and ReactJS code, even backend code as well. But I want to teach you guys the new format of functions, that is the arrow functions. Now, this exact function, I'll convert it into an arrow function, which is absolutely simple. I'll first delete function. Okay, just delete function from right over here. As you're able to see, I've deleted function from right over here. Put an equal to sign right over here in between the name of the function and the parenthesis. Put an equal to and an arrow right over here after the parenthesis. And that's it. You have created an arrow function. As you're able to see, the website is working absolutely fine. There's no issues in that as well. The one thing that you have done is you have converted the old format of function into the new format of function, that is the arrow function. If you guys want me to repeat, I'll just do that as well once again. First, delete the text, that is function. You don't require it. Okay. Then you put an equal to sign in between the name of the function and the parenthesis. Then you place an equal to and a forward, like the greater than symbol right over here. And that is how you can easily create an arrow function. Okay. Is it fine with everybody? Are you guys able to understand how to create an arrow function, guys? Are you guys, and nothing else, everything remains the same, guys, everything remains the same. We're not changing anything else inside of it. Now, why is this new format of arrow functions better than the previous format of normal functions itself? I'm so sorry. Okay, The previous format of arrow functions were a bit slower than arrow. Sorry, the previous format of functions were a bit slower when compared to arrow functions. Arrow functions are much more easier to understand as well, much more easier to write. You don't have to write the term function. You don't have to like make it look very like bulky. It is very simple, very easy to understand. Basically, that is the major point with arrow functions. And second, like I said, it is way too fast when compared to your normal functions. Okay, so when you are dealing with a large amount of code, a very big code base, these actually improve the performance of the code to a very good level itself. Okay, are you guys able to understand this? Please let me know. Arrow functions, is everybody able to understand this? Please let me know. Yes. Okay, now this, although we have learned how to create a particular component, this is not the right way of using and creating a component. The reason for that is till now our component is in the same file as our main code for index.js. Index.js and the component is in the same file. One of the other reasons of using components over the previous method of coding was distribution of code. Okay. So when you go into a big corporate, for example, Amazon, every button, every small thing inside of that big website is actually a component on its own. And multiple teams are working on these individual components. No team is actually working on just one file containing all the Amazon code itself, or all the code of the front end of Amazon. It is just not possible. You needed to distribute the code easily towards the developers so that developers can work only on the parts that they are meant to. So that was also, so for doing that you have to transfer this particular component into its file of its own. Okay, it should not be present in the index.js file, it should be present in a file of its own itself. So let us create that file. Now while creating the file, first of all, what we're going to do is we are going to create a new file. Okay, and we're going to call it as app.jsx, guys. Okay, we're going to call it as app.jsx. Why JSX? Can somebody let me know? Because we are not writing pure JavaScript code, guys. We are writing JSX code, JavaScript XML code. Just drag and drop it inside of the src folder itself, guys. Just drag and drop it inside of the src folder. Okay, now this app.jsx, we are going to create a particular component inside of it. Now because we are writing JavaScript code, the first thing, sorry, JSX code, the first thing that we need to get is Babel. Where is Babel present, guys? So what was Babel? Babel was a particular compiler which used to understand our JSX code and translate it into vanilla JavaScript. Now, Babel is present inside of the React components. The first line of code inside of app.jsx is going to be our import React from React. Okay. The next particular line of code will be we will create a particular component called as app. Okay, so component app is equals to parenthesis arrow curly braces return and then div tag, opening and closing div tag and then semicolon at the very end. So this is what we want to return after what we want to return from our app.jsx itself. Okay, and the next thing that we have to do is, so we have created this app. Okay, it is right now not doing anything, it just has a div tag inside of it, that is it is returning. um, but this is right now, this app.jsx, this app component itself is present inside of app.jsx. It is not present in index.js. Am I right or wrong, guys? Please let me know. This app component that is there is present inside of app.jsx. It is not present inside of index.js. And we want to use this app right over here. We want to use the app component here. App. This is where we want to use app, but app is not available right over there. How can we do this? So this is where a new concept comes into place, which is something that you guys are very much familiar with in your daily life. What was I opening? OneNote, I guess. Yeah, that is import and export business. Import and export business, guys. So let's say we are having our two files. Okay. The first file that we are having is our particular index.js, and the second file that we are having is app.jsx. Now app.jsx already has, it has the app component. Okay, it has the app component right over here, and we are missing the app component inside of index.js. We require the app component right over here. Let's say index.js is nothing else but India, and app.jsx is, let's say, China. Now China has iPhones. China has iPhones. There is a demand of iPhones in India. The demand of iPhones in India. So what does China does? It exports iPhones, right? It exports iPhone, and India imports them. India imports them. Am I right, guys? Please let me know. What does China do? It has iPhones. World requires iPhones. It exports iPhone, and India imports iPhones so that it is able to use them. It is able to sell them right over there, right? Now, if India goes and says to China that I want to import something from you, it is not specifying what. Right now, it is not specifying that I want to import iPhones only. But China already knows this, that if any company, if any country is coming to me and saying that I want to import something from you, by default, I will export the iPhones only. I will not export. China can have like iPhones, tablets, Samsung phones. Okay, it can have Me phones. It can have OnePlus phones. It can have so many phones. But if any company, if any country is coming and asking that I want to import mobile phones from you, by default it will export iPhones only, right? So we need to export. If anybody is coming to app.jsx and asking for something, by default app component should get exported. Okay, by default app component should get exported, guys. And if any index.js requires it, so it can import it from app. Are you guys able to understand this? Please let me know. No, you can actually have your own tags created in HTML as well. Yes. So we will go back, and first what we're going to do is we're going to enter into our app.jsx, and we're going to export our app component, guys, by default. Okay. Export default default app. Okay, so if anybody wants to import something from app, the app component is going to get exported directly. Okay, and inside of index.js, because we want to use app, we'll have to import it right over here. So import app from dot slash app dot jsx. Now we can use the app component. Now we can use, should it is deleted? No, it's still there. Okay, so this is where I fucked it up. Give me a second. I need to change this. This was our h1 component, and we are having a paragraph tag right over here. Here we'll have our app. Okay, so now what we have done is here inside of index.js, we have first imported our app component from the app.jsx file. Dot slash basically means wherever our current file is present, our current file is index.js. Wherever our current file is present, that is index.js, in the same folder, in the same folder, try to find a particular file called as app.jsx. Try to find a particular file called as app.jsx, guys. Now, once you do this, you are using app right over here. Because app currently does not has anything, let us provide something inside of it. This is app. Okay, we'll just write text inside of it. We'll save this. We'll go back to our website. We'll refresh our page, and we should be able to see the text on our screen. This is app. So right now, app, that is the component which is present in some other file, is getting loaded up on our screen. Is getting loaded up on our screen, guys. Now, what is going to happen? You're going to have multiple particular what do you call it, components inside of this website, right? It is not going to be just app or just header or something like that. You're going to have multiple components right over there. So for these multiple components, we don't put it directly inside of index.js. Whatever components that we are going to add to our website, we're going to put it inside of app.jsx, guys. The index.js will not contain any components except importing the app component, and the app.jsx is going to contain all the components that are going to be there on your website. Now, this is done to just organize stuff a little bit more better in a better manner itself. Okay, but still, this is what is going to happen. So, what we're going to do is we're going to create a folder inside of our SRC, create a folder, and we are going to call it as components. We're going to call it as component. So our SRC folder, that is the source folder, has another folder inside of it that is called as the components folder. All our components that we want to place on our website are going to go inside of this components folder, guys. So let us create a particular component, okay, that is the header.jsx. We'll create a component called as header.jsx. We'll copy everything from app.jsx because it works in the exact same manner. We'll copy everything from app.jsx. We'll change the name, of course. We want to create a function called as header header. Okay. We're going to export the header function as well. So we're going to export the header function. And inside of the return statement, that is also going to get changed. We want to return this right over here. Right. So I'll just copy the entire thing up. Control X, and we'll go back to our header.jsx. We'll replace this with the new header function. So inside of this header.jsx file, which is present inside of the components folder, guys, we are having this some text. Let's put this is header, and we'll put some function. This is a para. Okay, so we are having this particular header function that we are exporting right over here. Now, to use this header component, we will have to import it inside of app.jsx. Now, we are no longer importing stuff inside of index.js. Index.js just has app.jsx that we are having right over there. Index.js is just having app.jsx that we are importing right over there. To import the header, what we're going to do is we're going to go inside of app, and we're going to import it in the exact same way. Import header header from dot slash components slash header. Now, why dot slash components? Our app.jsx currently is present inside of the SRC folder directly. If you see this, our app.jsx is present inside of the SRC folder, right? So dot slash basically means in the same folder as our app.jsx, that is SRC folder. Find another folder called as components, and inside of that find a file called as header. Inside of that, find a file called as header. That is what we are doing right over here. Now, you don't have to write JSX at the end, guys. You don't have to write JSX at the end. You can directly just write header as well. There will be no issues with it because there is no other file that has the same name called as header, right? And because there are only going to be components inside of that folder, there's no other file that is going to have the same name. So every file will have a different name itself. So you can just write header right over there. You don't have to write the .jsx. Then we are going to use header right over here inside of this div tag, right? So header header export default app. We're going to go back into our index.js, and the index.js is just having rendering the app right over there. So we'll save this. We'll go back to our website. We will refresh our page. and we are getting the header component on our screen. Are you guys able to understand this? Please let me know. Are you guys able to understand this, guys? Please let me know. You can absolutely like remove the .jsx part. You don't have to write it. You can just import the app directly. Again, like I said, you don't have to write the .jsx. Okay. So this is also very much suitable right over there, guys. Now today we have taught a little bit more about creating components and everything. Tomorrow I'll start with a little bit of theory because I don't want to speak a lot more today. I'm still getting a lot of itchiness in the throat. So what we're going to do is tomorrow we'll talk about first in the first half we'll talk about this React DOM. Okay, what does it do with these components and what we had already talked about things as well. How does it work? What is virtual DOM, React DOM? What is its utilization? And then we'll move further with understanding a little bit more about the components. Okay, so I'll get you guys the attendance for today's class. I'm so sorry. Today is day 4. Am I right? Today is day 4. Am I right, guys? So I'll just create the attendance link right over here. Okay. So I'm providing the attendance link in the live chat, guys. You guys can start filling up the attendance. We'll meet in our tomorrow's class and we'll continue from right over there. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye, guys. Bye bye.